had a crush on my immediate boss for 10 years. And in 10 years, he became a well-known principal pianist. However, I turned around and left when he became famous. Everyone laughed at me for being stupid. Only I know. This crush that has been hidden for 10 years. It's time to wrap up. Later, it went viral all over the internet. Live video of the engagement banquet of a top pianist. And Yuan stepped on the fragments of a million haute couture wedding dresses. The red eyes dig 3 feet into the ground. When you submit a termination application to me, her slender fingers rested on the piano keys. Turn your head. There was a hint of confusion in those beautiful eyes. Why? I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window of the piano room. Make an effort to make your voice sound calm. Miss An, I'm not young anymore. It's time to start a family. After a pause, I added that I was in my hometown some time ago. Relatives introduced a suitable blind date in order to be able to terminate the contract smoothly. I made up a lie that didn't hurt anyone, and Yuan's fingers tapped lightly on the keys. It was his habitual movement when he was restless. Scattered notes echoed in the piano room. It seems to be telling something. Looking at his slightly irritable appearance, I felt a bit of bitter relief in my heart. After a long time, and Yuan put the termination application in his hand on the piano. I can give you a vacation. I hope you will consider the termination of the contract. At that moment, my heart was shaken. A voice is constantly tempting me to stay. Stay. This way you can always be by his side. But reason tells me, Lin Feng is going to get engaged to Jiyu Wuyin. Infatuated with a married woman who is engaged. It is a thought that should not be had. My hand hesitated in the air for a long time. In the end, I didn't get that application. The agent's job is too busy. I want a relatively stable life after getting married. We'll hand over all the work at hand. I'm sorry, Miss An. That's it. And Yuan didn't say anything more, just whispered that I understood. I wish you a happy marriage. Before leaving the piano room, and Yuan has re-immersed himself in his piano world. For him, I was probably just one of the many staff. The most competent one. I was sitting in the lounge that day, looking at the photo of his performance on the wall. For the first time, let yourself clear your mind. In the past, I was always busy and didn't even have time to drink water. It is necessary to deal with his performance arrangements and take care of his daily life. Keep communication open at all times, once he has any needs. I had to be there as soon as possible. One person takes on the workload of many people. Of course, he also paid me handsomely. Over the years, I have bought a house in the magic capital. Zhao Zhang called me several times. I just came back to my senses. Miss Feng Jian said, let you go to the clubhouse first to arrange tonight's party. Evening party is to celebrate. Yan Yao has just returned from the Vienna Conservatory. The people present were all people from a Nuan circle. The younger generation of wealthy families was born with a golden spoon in their mouths. The eyes are higher than the ground. It stands to reason that their circle is exclusive, but it can't be helped. I'm so capable. One who knows how to take care of everyone's emotions. And a perfect agent who can arrange the event. It's too rare. When I arrived at the clubhouse, I immediately threw myself into the layout. From the vintage of red wine to the placement of tableware, and then to the dietary taboos of each guest. No matter how big or small, swap out the champagne for sparkling water. Mr. Li is quitting drinking. Turn up the air conditioning temperature. CEO is always afraid of the cold. Remember to prepare aged pu'er. Miss Han loves to drink the most. When night falls, guests arrived one after another. It seems that it will dissipate into the night in the next second. He has always been high. Each appearance is the focus of the spotlight. Every gesture is elegant. At this moment, it is like a fairy who has fallen into the mortal world. Drunkenness is hazy. He kept muttering my name. I have to respond. The final voice is sweet. A sound knocked on my heart. Yan Yao was the first to arrive. It made my heart skip a beat. He suddenly approached. There was only one palm between the two. The moonlight shone on her slender eyelashes, cast fine shadows. Lin Feng, will you always be with me? I don't have the strength to answer. Life is long. Who can promise forever? Not to mention that I was just his agent. When he saw me, he said hello. He insisted on an answer. Like a stubborn child, I had no choice but to respond softly. I will always be. After getting the promise, he quieted down, frowned and looked at me. I don't know what I'm thinking. Suddenly say it's hot. First, only push aside the long hair. When will a Nuan arrive? Revealing the snow-white back of the neck. The posture had an indescribable charm. I never thought I would use such a word to describe a Nuan. Stunned for a moment, I quickly looked away, but she kept leaning towards me. I felt hot cheeks. This cold winter is so sultry. I held back and distanced myself. She glanced at me inexplicably. I glanced at my watch. Start pouring wine again. Finally drunk and unconscious. He looked at me steadily before falling asleep. There was a sense of encouragement in his eyes. Why encouragement? After settling him in, go home. I tossed and turned. I thought about it all night and didn't understand. The next day he called. Thank you for taking good care of me. Answered cautiously. I smiled and said that it was my job. Miss Anne was silent on the other end of the phone. He gritted his teeth. You hung up halfway through what you said. I was puzzled. After the studio disbanded, we also seemed to have no reason to meet again. I haven't seen him for several days. At the time of meeting, he knocked on my door drunkenly. She also rehearsed at the Vienna Concertgebouw. I just opened the door. He just fell into my arms. I helped him to the sofa with all my might. Just wanted to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. I stumbled. The whole person fell into his arms. There is only one finger between the two. He stared deeply at me. Call softly. Arrive in about an hour. Ordinary can no longer be ordinary names. He read it softly, but it made my heart tremble. His eyes reflected my figure. It was as if I was the only one left in the world. The sound of heartbeats in the chest became clearer. Our breaths are intertwined, involuntarily leaning against each other, until the lips touch. At that moment, reason collapsed. She collapsed on the leather sofa. All restraint and forbearance turned into spring water melting. At dawn, I fled the scene like a coward. When I walked downstairs, I suddenly remembered that this was my home. I had to wander around the neighborhood. By dusk, it was all around. Tiptoed to turn the doorknob. The room suddenly brightened like daylight. And Yuan is still there. Raised his eyebrows and looked at me. The upper eyes are tired. Lin Feng, you are planning to be a person who starts to mess up and ends up. I stood at the door. Not at all. Not retreating. Come over and let's have a good chat. I opened my mouth to explain. Last night was just an impulse. She raised her hand to stop me. You have always been clumsy. This time I'll talk about it. The complexion was slightly pale, and Yuan's expression was unprecedentedly solemn. Even my heart was raised to my throat. Lin Feng, you always see me as too perfect. But I'm just an ordinary person. There are 7 emotions and 6 desires. Will be jealous. One want to refute. But he was blocked back by his next words. Your judgment may not be clear enough right now. It's a bit difficult for you to make a choice. I asked the waiter to turn the music down. But I'm more afraid of giving you too much time to think. Wait for you to see my essence. You won't like me as much as you do now. Whether you are grateful or adored to me, since it has stirred my heart, don't think about getting out easily.
He took out a brilliant diamond ring from his pocket.
His eyes were as bright as stars. Lin Feng wants to try to spend the rest of his life with me. My mind went blank. Another cashmere blanket was brought. Nodded unconsciously. He then slipped the ring into my ring finger. Did you bring your ID card? I nodded mechanically. The corners of his mouth raised in a gentle arc. Then let's go. Where to go? Civil Affairs Bureau. As the sun sets, we walked out of the door with a red notebook in hand. The autumn night is chilly. Became the last couple of this dusk. The sunset is like fire. Paint the sky a brilliant orange. From then on, all the uneasiness and confusion had a home. End of full text. You take a break first. Others will have to wait a while. He took the blanket. Jokingly, you might as well not follow a Nuan. Be a housekeeper for me. Double the salary. In this circle, there are too many people who are inclined to follow the trend. On the contrary, it seems that my attitude is neither humble nor arrogant. Extra precious. I smiled and joked, then thanked Miss Yun first. In case one day you lose your job. Anyway, there is still a way out. The night was getting darker. When the lights are bright, guests arrived one after another. And Yuan wore a black evening dress, coming in high heels. There's a bit of coldness in elegance. I took her coat. I thought to myself that this might be the last time I would serve her. After 3 rounds of wine, I found the right time. Announced the decision to terminate the contract to everyone. Pick up the wine glass. I sincerely thank you for taking care of me over the years. See you in the future. There was silence at the banquet. Yan Yao raised her glass to break the silence. Let's be honest. At first, I thought you had an intention for An Nuan. Now it seems that we are over-worried. Everyone understood what he meant. After all, An Nuan's previous agents were all fired because of their confession. Later, he simply used only female agents. Unexpectedly, there was still a male assistant secretly delivering a love letter. It became a joke for a while. Someone quipped, I didn't expect anyone to resist An Nuan's charm. An Nuan took a sip of lipstick wine elegantly, chuckled, and said boredom. After the meal, several people got together to drink and have fun. During this period, Yan Yao casually asked An Nuan, I heard that Mr. Jiu is very interesting to you. My hand poured wine for An Nuan, frozen in midair. After a while, he casually replied that it was just a family marriage. Who is not married in their circle? Marriage has always been a bond of interests. Feelings are the most irrelevant. It seems that he also acquiesced to this, arranged to accept all expectations of the family. I have seen Jiu Wei, an upstart in the business world, young and promising.
He is indeed a good candidate.
How I hope An Nuan can have a different ending. Unfortunately, the reality is always unsatisfactory. The party lasts until late at night. The driver of the guests had been waiting for a long time. Only An Nuan's driver was temporarily delayed. So the two of us stood at the door of the clubhouse. Street lamps stretched the shadows very long. This kind of solitude is the most dangerous. Those suppressed feelings always want to erupt. But An Nuan just stood quietly. The alcohol made her a little less cold. It didn't take long for the driver to arrive. An Nuan turned to look at me. Let's go together. I shook my head and smiled politely. Thank you, Miss An. My fiancée happened to be on her way here. She nodded, elegantly got into the car. Finally, I was the only one left. I pulled off my tie, leaned against the edge of the flower bed. For a while, I didn't know where to go. The autumn rains arrived unexpectedly. Delicate rain threads hit the suit. Exceptionally cold. I stood on the side of the street waiting for the bus. It's hard to get a taxi in this upscale neighborhood. Because of road construction, the driver had to take a detour. An Nuan didn't expect to see me again. I stand in the rain. The blazer is draped over the arm. It seems a little lonely. He was slightly startled. I have never seen the always rigorous Lin agent. Such a casual appearance. When in the company, I always wear an iron suit. The tie is always tied around the neck meticulously. He has come into contact with too many men who deliberately show off their charm. They loosen their ties, expose your collarbones and abs, pretending to show himself in front of him inadvertently. But Lin's agent is different. His professional ability and just the right sense of layering. Let him decide to keep her by his side. The car is about to pass by. Does the driver in the front row need to take the broker for a ride? An Nuan's eyes were calm. Forget it for a light response. He is right. His belated fiancée had a bad impression. Although Agent Lin has always been shrewd. But emotionally, it seems that the judgment is not good. But this is his private matter after all. He is inconvenient to interfere too much. It seems to pass An Nuan's car in the distance.
It's fleeting.
Maybe it's just my delusion. Such an upscale residential area. People walking like me are really rare. The rain soaked my clothes. The legs are already numb. Finally waited for a taxi. It was late at night when I got home. The silence in the apartment was suffocating. I always say it to people. I have a happy family. Beloved fiancé. There are also many close friends. Others say how perfect my life is. It's desirable. I actually had nothing. No relatives. There is no lover. There are no friends either. In junior high school, my dad was diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. The condition recurred shortly after the operation. A very ordinary morning. My mother went out as usual. There has been no news since then.
He took all his savings with him.
Only my seriously ill father and young me were left. After learning about this blow, my dad was surprisingly calm. Received treatment in silence. Occasional improvement during hospitalization. He will also cook for me. I came home from school that day. The table was full of dishes. My dad sat across from me, a gentle smile on his face. I don't know why. A kind of uneasiness welled up in my heart. The dishes exuded a strange smell. I noticed the newly bought bottle of pesticide in the kitchen. I only knew at that moment. Even those who are seriously ill can also burst out with amazing power. I can't move. While he was coughing violently, I broke free from his clamps. I fled to the rooftop in a panic. My dad stretched out his arms to me with tears in his eyes. The voice choked. Children, the world is too cruel. Dad is reluctant to face you alone. Come with me. In the next life, we will still be father and son. Tears blurred my vision.
Exhausted.
How I want to do it again. I smelled the familiar scent of tobacco on my father. Maybe it would end like this. Anyway, there is no hope in life. On the rooftop where the cold wind howled, my dad's embrace is the only warmth. He held my hand tightly, slowly approached the edge, just as he was about to fall. A pair of slender but powerful hands grabbed him firmly. Pull me hard. No matter how much I struggled, I wouldn't let go. When swaying in the wind, I only remember those eyes that sparkled with determination. I survived, but my dad is gone forever. The person who saved me was a Nuan. He not only gave me life, it also gave me the meaning to continue living. I want to repay his kindness, but I feel guilty that I have let my father down. At that time, I was like a drowning person, desperately trying to grab the straw. And Nuan is my light of hope. When rescuers arrived, I held his hand tightly. Look up and ask how to thank you. 14-year-old Nuan looked down at me. Seriously, just look for me later. From that night when I lost my father, my life seemed to stand still. Only warmth is the driving force for me to move forward. I was still awakened by a nightmare tonight. The dream is full of past reenactments. In the dream, my father asked me why I left her. When my mother parted, the indifferent eyes still sting me. I woke up sweating. His voice was hoarse and he couldn't make a sound. The thermometer shows 38 degrees 8. As usual, I might just take a fever reducer and continue working, pretend to be nothing. But this time, I decided to take a leave of absence, think carefully about the direction of life. And Yuan came to the piano room, found out that I was on sick leave. He frowned and thought. The impression of his fiancée was even worse. Assistant Zhao temporarily took over my position. Bring him a cup of rose tea. And Yuan took a sip elegantly. His face was as usual. The tea is less concentrated than usual. He did not raise any objections. The discussion is just to put down the cup and stop drinking. There was a mistake during the morning rehearsal. Fortunately, he knows the track well. Only then did we avoid bigger problems. The temperature in the piano room is slightly higher. The humidifier runs continuously. Throat is dry.
This day comes.
Although I can't tell where exactly went wrong, but I always feel that something is missing. And Yuan thought of me seriously for the first time. He rarely notices me on weekdays. Because I'm always so low-key, I handled everything just right. It is as silent as spring rain nourishes all things. It's like I've never been here, but it makes everything just right. He frowned lightly. Today is the second time. It's all because of Lin Feng's unsatisfactory fiancé. Just snatched away his most powerful agent, tossing and turning all day. I never knew where to go ahead. Like a lost butterfly, in the dark night, there is no way back. The next morning, I still went to the piano room step by step. When the door is pushed open, Zhao trembled and approached. Lower your voice and say, Miss Anne. I wasn't in a good mood this morning. I didn't even move my favorite rose tea. Yesterday's cup of flower tea was placed on the windowsill. I sniffed it gently. Tell Xiaoyue to use 6 fresh roses. Soak at 80 degrees for 3 minutes. 1 more point or less is not enough. I carefully demonstrated every step of making tea. Xiaoyue observed carefully from the side. When the fragrance of flowers fills the air, and Yuan pushed the door open and entered. In a trance, I seemed to catch her looking at me. The tenderness flashed in his eyes, and the corners of the lips are grieved. The handover of work is far more complicated than expected. I have a lot of things on hand. It will be difficult to completely hand over for a while. What's more, Anfang has always been demanding. Every bit of life needs to be extra careful. I simply found a notebook. Temperature regulation from the piano room, to the matching of costumes for the performance, recorded in great detail. This delay, the handover was originally expected to be completed within a month, had to be postponed. As a result, I ran into the occasion I wanted to avoid the most. That is to accompany Ji Wuyan to the old house. I have thoughts that An Yuan shouldn't have. Even if nothing was done, The groom in the face of the future still can't hide his guilt. Jiu Wuyan is dressed in a handmade custom suit. Patek Philippe on the wrist is understated and luxurious. The hairstyle is meticulous. Every gesture shows the demeanor of a successful person. I hung up my professional smile and stepped forward. Miss Jiu Zong'an arranged for me to pick you up. Along the way, Jiu Weiyin kept asking about En Nuan. After all, he is engaged to someone he has never met. It is inevitable to be apprehensive. Sensing her uneasiness, I gently comforted Miss Dawen and treated people very well. Mr. Jiu doesn't have to worry. If you have any questions, you can discuss them with me. He cast a grateful look when he heard this. Chatting all the way to the old house, I wanted to leave after seeing people off. Mrs. N stopped me. He is a well-known iron-fisted figure in the music industry. Although it is already a rare age, he was still in high spirits. His eyes were like torches. Zhao Linan is warm. And Yuan didn't come. My face did not change color. Answered cautiously. There were some temporary changes in the rehearsal. Miss Anne may be a little late. Old Mrs. Bai snorted coldly. Command me to bring people? I have seen with my own eyes how Mrs. Bai punishes En Nuan. 6 hours of continuous piano practice. Until his fingers bled. She still has scars on her fingertips. I called En Yuan's phone immediately after leaving. Thank God. The third time finally connected. I anxiously asked her location. She was silent for a long time. Just call my name lightly. The voice was a little slurred. It seems to be drunk. The melodious sound of the piano came from the background. I instantly understood where he was. When the time came, I saw En Yuan reclining next to the grand piano in the bar. There were several times the whiskey in front of him. The long black hair is dark, scattered in the light. Footsteps were heard.
He raised his eyes slightly.
The eyes are hazy but still cold. He was still a little sober in his drunkenness. Wait a moment. I'll end it right away. He tapped the piano bench. He motioned for me to sit down. Talk to me. Ngia's concert hall stands in a bustling area. The lights are bright in the night. The classical and elegant European-style architecture exudes a noble atmosphere. Do you think it's beautiful? My gaze. It also stays on his perfect profile. May subconsciously blurted out. It made me blush. Fortunately, he didn't notice.
He said to himself,
The splendor of the surface is nothing more than the decoration of the cage. No matter how brilliant the stage is, it can't trap the true soul. He said this with a smile. The tone is particularly serious. It is said that Anjia's music industry is not entirely bright. There are some shady deals in the dark. It has only begun to transform in recent years. In the past 10 years, I saw him with my own eyes, step by step to the top of the international piano world. How many setbacks and pressures have you experienced during this period? Outsiders will never know. I couldn't help but ask if you were having a good time. The word happy turned around his lips.
He chuckled.
But there was no positive answer. Instead, he looked at me and said that your fiancé was not worthy. I was stunned. He then lowered his head. Sorry for my gaffe. Drink the last sip of wine. And Yuan stood up. In an instant, he returned to the noble and elegant pianist. On the way back, I've been wondering what his words meant. I couldn't figure it out after thinking about it for a long time. It's like I never understand. Why many years ago, he would appear alone on the roof of that dilapidated apartment. But none of this has anything to do with me. I'm about to leave here. From now on, the mountains and rivers are separated. It's hard to see you again. It rained on the day of resignation. The rain in the north is always so heavy and urgent. It crackled and smashed to the ground. It's like venting all your emotions. I sat silently in the piano room, packing up the agent's office. I have spent almost 10 years in this position. From an ignorant young man, transform into an independent agent. I know it's 3 p.m. every day. Sunlight shines through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Sprinkle on that Steinway piano. I also know that as long as I stand in the corner of the piano room, you can hear a nuance breathing when practicing the piano. These fragments. It was the most precious comfort in my life. Now it's time to let go. 10 years have passed since the love of kindness. The days to come will be left to Jiu Wuyin to guard. Xiaoyue looked at me with red eyes. I rubbed her hair, smile and say, don't do this. We'll meet again. But I understand in my heart, this farewell is probably a farewell. The city carries too many bitter memories. I need to find a new starting point. I left with a hint of anticipation in my heart. But after all, I couldn't see him at the last moment. After leaving my job, I locked myself in a rental house. I slept in the dark. It seems to be the feeling that I owe all these years. Make up for it all at once. I also bought alcohol. Turn on the speaker to the loudest sound. There is a warm piano music on the stereo. I laughed like a madman. After laughing, he sat on the ground blankly, looking at the piano sheet music all over the room in a daze. When I was a child, my greatest wish was to live. As long as I live well. Mom won't leave. Later, my mother left. My desire is to work hard. Let Dad stop giving up on himself. Then my father also left. I put all my heart and soul into my work. I only hope to do my part for Anuan's music career. But at this moment I was lost. I don't know where to go. Just when I am wandering beyond the heavens. The doorbell rang suddenly. Look through the cat's eyes. It was Anuan standing outside the door. I hurriedly opened the door. Only then did I realize that I was dressed sloppy. It was futile to close the door. I had to force myself to calm down. Invite him into the house. I squeezed out a professional smile. Compared to my cramped and uneasy. Warm and elegant as usual. Whisper, I'll try to contact you. Tonight's repertoire needs to be adjusted. The backup file cannot be found. Just passed by here. I suppressed my heart racing. Good with a professional expression. Miss Anne, please sit down. I'll go find it. When I rummaged through the documents, Anuan tasted tea elegantly, but his eyes always followed me. His gaze left me at a loss. The more anxious I am. Instead, the more you can't find the documents you need. Don't rush. Then he asked, doesn't your agent live with his fiancée? In a panic, he blurted out that he was going to work overtime tonight. After a long search, finally found all the information I needed. I handed it over carefully. After Anuan took the document, the gaze stayed on my face for a long time. That look made my heart beat. I was about to say something, but he showed a meaningful smile. I'm getting married. Weddings need reliable people to run them. I don't know if Agent Lin is willing to continue to help. Treatment as usual. Face his request. I never learned to refuse. The body has made choices before reason. He couldn't help but nod in agreement. Look at his elegant figure. Thousands of words finally turned into a sigh. Since that day, I returned to his team, responsible for the preparations for this wedding. Maybe witness his wedding with your own eyes. It allows me to completely let go of this obsession. Because I feel guilty about Anuan. I strive for perfection in every detail. I hope to create a perfect wedding for Anuan. However, Anuan's recent whereabouts have been erratic. Rarely ask about weddings. Everything is conveyed through me alone. It seems to be deliberately keeping a distance from everyone. Like this is not his wedding. It's just a matter that has nothing to do with you. Ji Wuyan's expression became more and more melancholic. When I tried on a suit one day, he looked at me and wanted to say something but stopped. Can you ask him if he will come today? I shouldn't have made this call, but looking at Ji Wuyan's lonely appearance, I dialed the number anyway. There was a noisy background sound on the other end of the phone, mixed with Anuan's tired voice. I wanted to hang up, but I remembered Ji Wuyan's expectant eyes. I considered that the wedding dress had been delivered. Do you want to take a look? After a long silence, he said yes softly. You come and pick me up. Although I don't understand his intentions, I still did as he said. When you arrive at the clubhouse, the others have dispersed. She was the only one left standing by the window in a daze. I walked lightly, whispering to Miss Anne. Miss Anne suddenly looked back. A trace of emotion flashed in my eyes that I couldn't understand. I couldn't help but be stunned. In an instant, she returned to her former coldness. It seems that the strangeness just now is just my illusion. I carefully helped her into the car. She was speechless all the way. Close your eyes and recuperate. It's like isolating yourself from the whole world. Through the rearview mirror, I can see her delicate profile. It is rare to have the opportunity to look at her so openly. I couldn't help but take a second look. Thinking of Ji Wuyan, I retracted my gaze. But for some reason, a feeling of uneasiness suddenly surged in my heart. I always trust my instincts. The brain starts working quickly. Something was wrong. A black commercial vehicle. I have been following since half an hour ago. The distance has always been eerily consistent. I tried to wake up Anuan. Miss Anne. But the people in the back seat are still asleep. In desperation, I can only accelerate. The car behind immediately followed. 2 cars were speeding on a mountain road. The other party's car was obviously modified. No matter how I accelerate, I was bitten tightly. Until the black commercial vehicle slammed into us. The huge impact throws the body off balance. Our car is rolling on the road. Fortunately, I reversed direction in time to avoid falling into the cliff. There was a blood red in front of him.
Dizzy.
I struggled to climb out of the driver's seat, and Nguyen was pressed in the back seat. At this time, I finally woke up. He tried to move, but it was stuck by the deformed frame. I found the jack from the trunk. Use the physics knowledge you have learned to try to pry open the door, but the body was severely deformed. The lines are not moving. Gasoline keeps seeping out of the broken tank. Smoke has already started to come out of the back seat. Critical moments make my thinking particularly clear. I put aside all distractions. At this moment, I was only thinking about how to rescue Nguyen. The fire is spreading. The car can explode at any time. Nguyen raised his eyes to look at me. The salary I gave you is not worth your life. Lin Feng walked quickly. The car is about to explode. I was already upset. He was still chattering there. I couldn't bear it anymore and shut up. And Nguyen suddenly smiled. I had no time to guess the meaning behind his smile. The flames are still raging. Blood kept dripping from the wound on his arm. I gritted my teeth. Use all your strength. Finally dragged him out of the car. Then support him, step by step with difficulty moving into the distance. We just walked out not long ago. The car exploded. The fire was sky high. Dyed the night sky blood red. I'm glad I keep exercising. There is enough strength. Can save the lives of both of us at such a time. The sound of ambulance sirens from far to near. The feeling of exhaustion came like a tide. Consciousness gradually blurred. Nguyen regained consciousness before me. The moment the accident occurred, I turned the steering wheel towards myself. He stared at the man on the hospital bed quietly. It was like getting to know me for the first time. Nguyen has experienced too many betrayals. In the kidnapping incident in childhood, her father left her for self-protection. Her cry and call, in exchange. It's just that the cold iron door closed in front of me. My mother once swore that she would always be with her. In the end, he chose to say goodbye forever with a string. Countless people came and went in his life. In the end, they all chose to leave. This accustomed him to loneliness. And I should have left him behind and fled for my life. But he stayed. He thinks he can see into people's hearts. But I can't see through the true thoughts of the man in front of me. What was he thinking? He thought to himself. It was like waking up from a confusing dream. I found Nguyen looking at me intently. There was a sudden tightening in my chest. Could it be that he has sensed my intentions? Nguyen's eyes were like torches. He met my eyes. The tension made my palms ooze fine beads of sweat. Why save me? My brain was racing. The next second, I replied to Miss Anne with a smile. I'm a gambler, a lifesaver from the world's top pianists. Not everyone can have this opportunity. And Nguyen frowned. Deep eyes looked at me. It's like weighing the weight of words. What you want. In their circle, those who ask for nothing are often the most ambitious. Only the price is clearly marked, is the most reassuring. Think carefully. What requirements are worthy of fighting for one's life? Finally, an answer was given that reassured Nguyen. Want exclusive financial rights to your next album. It's enough for me to have no worries about food and clothing. Seeing Nguyen's brows stretched, I knew I was in the right direction, and he chuckled. Albums are such nihilistic things. It's not as good as a piano store in the city center. What do you think, Lin Agent? I laughed too. Tens of millions of piano stores. Then thank you, Miss N. Each person takes what they need. And Nguyen doesn't have to feel guilty about me. So he got up, lightly said, then your agent has a good rest. You don't have to worry about getting engaged. I lay in the hospital for a whole week. The day of discharge. It was the big day of Nguyen's engagement. Major entertainment media rushed to report it. The marriage of the two families is prosperous. The luxurious concert hall is fantastically decorated. The crystal light refracts the bright light. It's time for everything to come to an end, as long as everyone is well. It's just that this melancholy in my heart can't linger. I wander the streets aimlessly. Unconsciously, I walked into a Ching bar. I've been the one who cleans up the mess all these years. It's too little to let yourself intoxicate. I ordered a whiskey. The wine entered the throat. The spicy taste made me frown. People say that they use wine to drown their sorrows. This bitter taste made me cry. Drip into the cup, turned into a cup of bitter memories. When his consciousness gradually blurred, I fumbled with my phone to contact the chauffeur service. Please make sure I get home safely. At the engagement banquet, and Yuan received an unexpected call. It was Agent Lin who called. This gave him a good reason. Escape from this false ritual. After arriving at the Clear bar, the substitute driver in uniform hurriedly stepped forward. This gentleman was very drunk. I can't tell where my home is. I had to contact the number on his phone that I contacted most often. He looked at Yuan, asked with a nervous expression, "You can't be his boss. Hopefully he won't complain about me when he wakes up." And Yuan took over the drunken me, comforted gently. "Don't worry, I'll take care of it next." He helped me leave. Drunk man is as willful as a child. Sometimes he caressed her face. Sometimes she messes up her hair. And Yuan has never seen me so relaxed. I can't help but wonder why you chose to stay with me. I thought for a moment in a daze. Show an innocent smile and return the kindness. What kindness? Saving grace. How do you plan to repay? Let him have the best things in this world. Why are you so persistent? Because I paused. I love him dearly. And Yuan studied psychology at the conservatory. I love the step-by-step inquiry of the art original. I want to find out the truth, but got such an unexpected answer. And Yuan looked at my drunkenness carefully. The smile is pure. Drunkenness is hazy. It doesn't seem like there's half a falsehood. Countless people have confessed their love to her. She has also witnessed all kinds of feelings. Fierce as fire, delicate and long. But she never met it. Such love, buried deep in my heart for many years. No one knows. Many doubts suddenly became clear. Why is there no trace of women in my residence? And Yuan fell into deep thought. Is this relationship worth entrusting? A sincere heart. Just because of love without caring about life and death? The next day, I woke up from a hangover with a severe headache. I vaguely remember having a dream, the only clear. It was in Yuan's eyes as bright as stars. Why did I meet him again in my dreams? Have fantasies about other people's fiancés. This really shouldn't be. For a long time next, I deliberately avoid all entertainment news. Traveled all over the motherland, by train. Leave your footprints in every unfamiliar city. Visited many single-parent families in need of assistance. Different levels of funding are provided according to the actual situation. I often think about it. If someone had reached out in time, maybe it can change the fate of our family. There is too much suffering in the world. All I can do is help the people around me as much as I can. Until that day, a shocking news came. Piano goddess and Yuan announced her retirement from the entertainment industry. The media tore apart the photo of her and Ji Yu Wuyin. With a striking title, the marriage contract of a wealthy family broke down. Why did the piano goddess choose to retire? I was anxious. Contact Ji Wuyin immediately. There was helplessness in his words. Zero brokers. This is a consideration of family interests. Personal feelings. I have to be secondary. I can't change either. Calm down and think carefully. I gradually saw the clues. This may be in Yuan's carefully planned exit. She has been glamorous on the surface over the years, but I could feel the exhaustion in her heart. The shackles of fame and fortune suffocated him. I once reminded him tactfully, but he was always resolved by his understatement. It turns out from beginning to end, he was planning to escape from this circle. Recall his fragile appearance when he was drunk. This world shrouded in aura. For him, it's just another form of begging for mercy. What he needed most at the moment. It is a support that can give warmth, just like when I was about to fall. It was he who held my hand tightly, no matter who it is, as long as it can give him strength and comfort. The idea flashed. I immediately rushed to his studio, the brightly lit piano room of the past, now shrouded in darkness. The last savings are used to house staff. Walk through the silent corridors. Pushing open the door, and Yuan sat alone in front of the piano. The whole person is immersed in the shadows. The night wind lifts the curtains. Play a lonely movement. She looked up at me. The gaze is deep and unfathomable. It seems to hide countless thoughts. I slowly stretched out my hand, gently held her hand. The words have been rehearsed countless times in my mind. At this moment, it all dissipated in this fleeting temperature. At this moment, I just wanted to hold his hand tightly, just like he gave me warmth and strength at the beginning. His thoughts drifted back to his mother, the genius pianist who was crushed by the rules of the wealthy. In the end, it became an unbearable laughingstock in the music industry. The wealthy want to put a pure musical genius become a business star. He wants to be hypocritical. I want him to be multifaceted. He wants to know how to make trade-offs. Everyone is doing it their own way. Push him to the brink of collapse. Outsiders say he doesn't understand business operations. Not worthy of such a status. But if these rules are wrong in themselves, behind the settled home, it still operates illegal music copyright transactions. His mother discovered behind these shady scenes. You can't turn a blind eye. He wanted to expose it. The truth turned out to be swallowed up by lies. And Yuan originally planned to face all this alone. Let all the darkness pass away with the wind. But I showed up. Is it because of love? When I first arrived, he saw me at a glance. While everyone was busy packing up and leaving, I went against the flow of people, walked towards him through the scattered sheet music. It's like a brave knight in a fairy tale who rushes to the princess. That's it. And Yuan couldn't help but smile. How can there be such a stupid person in the world? I walked up to him silently, hold his hand tightly. Warmth came from the palm of my hand. This moment, and Yuan was shocked to realize that his hands were so cold.
He will also hold her hand.
In this storm, the temperature without me is real. I accompanied Nguyen to liquidate the studio. When he was interviewed by the media, angry fans smashed him with eggs. The Am family owes too much truth. The masses need an outlet. This is the price that must be paid. The day Nguyen announced his retirement, Mr. An was hospitalized with a sudden cerebral infarction. In the evening, he asked me out for a drink. When I arrived, I found out that it was his private piano room. I stood at the door and hesitated. This is not appropriate. We don't seem to have a relationship where we can get drunk together. This makes me a little scared. And Nguyen lowered her eyes. The whole body is desolate. There was a choke in his voice. Did he cry?
Anyway.
After all, it was his relatives. My heart aches. I took the bottle and looked at him. A glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. What's the harm in getting drunk with him? Patience is my specialty. I have never seen Nguyen look like this. The black dress is messy. A piece of green silk is scattered. The whole person is fragile.